Should minors need parental consent for abortion? Exploring legal and ethical issues. In some parts of the United States, it is illegal for a 15-year-old girl to have an ingrown toenail treated without signed parental consent. Yet it is legal for her to have an abortion without telling anyone at all. In a society where teens are sexually active at a younger and younger age, many lawmakers and public feel that teens are not mature enough to handle a judgment call as big as that one. Teens have a different point of view. Illinois, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New Mexico, California, Nevada, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. What do these 9 states have in common? They are the only states in America where parental consent laws for minors receiving abortion were declared unconstitutional. This means that a girl of any age who can't have her teeth cleaned without parental consent can have an abortion without any kind of consent at all. Parents have traditionally enjoyed a strong presumption under the common law that they are the appropriate medical decision makers for their children. While all states are required to intercede on a minor's behalf in cases of abuse, they will almost always side with a parent's decision on medical care, as long as it is a treatment plan recommended by a doctor. Most minors would perceive the prospect of telling their parents they are pregnant as the end of the world. "My mom is going to kill me," is the phrase most often heard in primetime dramas. The reality is that 4 to 8% of women are abused during their pregnancy. Of the minors who chose not to tell their parents they were pregnant, 30% had a history of past domestic violence, feared the occurrence of violence, or were afraid of being kicked out of their homes. The American Association of University Women states, while the intent of such laws is to enhance family communication, the failure to guarantee confidentiality often deters young people from seeking timely services and care, resulting in increased instances for sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancies, and late-term abortions. This is a large point against parental consent. If a girl is a few months away from her 18th birthday, she may decide to wait until she is 18 for an abortion so she doesn't have to inform her parents. The longer you are pregnant, the greater the chance of complications during and after an abortion. Also, if a girl who has had an abortion in secret is having post-operative complications, she may be reticent to seek medical help afterwards, increasing danger of infection and ultimately death. One thing to think about is who can be considered a parent. In some states, Ohio for example, a grandparent, aunt, uncle, or even older sibling can give consent. Another thing to consider, should the minor have to tell one or both parents? And what would be the ramifications of having to tell both? In many instances, a minor is a product of a single-parent home, and having to include the absent parent would reintroduce them back into a hostile environment. Mississippi, North Dakota, and Minnesota all require both parents to be informed, and both parents must consent. In other states with existing laws regarding parental consent, even an adult family member over the age of 25 can consent. Also, a mental health professional may sign off on a minor's ability to make medical decisions, or a physician with no financial ties to the minor may consent. If a minor is able to convince a judge that she is old enough to make an informed decision about abortion, should other minors also have the opportunity to get the right to vote? How are they different? Well, the difference is huge, particularly in the psychological sense where having to vote to decide the next president is a reason of pride, and having an abortion is an entirely different ballpark. Forget the ballpark, it's an entirely different sport. The psychological ramification of having an abortion can range from extreme grief and guilt to relief. Some examples from real women are: the first woman. After the abortion, the overpowering feeling was one of such relief you thought, it's over, and you're still here. But the next day, you can get depressed as hell. I think the hormonal turnaround is a great part of it. I will add that I never felt the fetus was a person. I didn't then, and I don't now. But naturally, you do think of the person who might have been. You could briefly cheer yourself up by thinking about the worst characteristics of both your families. But you do have the sense of loss of a potential person. Another woman said, I was nervous about the abortion. If you've got to go and have surgery, you're scared. The nurse said to me, People have all kinds of reactions to abortion. Some cry, they're just real upset when it's over. Well, when mine was over, I was hysterical with laughter. I just couldn't stop laughing. I think it was anxiety. You know how you yawn when you're anxious? That was a form of relief for me. It was relief. The third woman said, I had an abortion when I was 17. It was illegal then, so my parents took me to Mexico. The memories were painful, but I never talked about them. When I was 22, I had an abortion, part of the ending of a marriage. It was still illegal in Arizona, so I went to California. At 26, a second marriage ended with my third abortion. It was now legal in Arizona, so I didn't have to run away. It was neat, clean, and fast. I woke up from the anesthesia, sobbing. The nurse, trying to comfort me, repeated, It's all right, dear, it's over, it's over. I knew, that's why I cried. But I didn't talk about. The American Psychological Association announced recently that most women who have had abortions experience a sense of relief, rather than any lasting psychological trauma. I felt relief every time. I got on with my life, as everyone around me advised. For so many years, I resisted thinking about the abortions. It hurt too much. After the first one, I would count years by their ages. I'd imagine how old each child would have been that year. After the second and after the third, it became too difficult to carry their ages. I knew it was a hurting thing to do. I accepted the abortions as done, as choices. Awful choices between fire and ice, between rocks and hard places. I didn't have 3 abortions because I was bad, but simply a hurting girl, alone and denying a part of myself I couldn't accept. No one told me that as a woman, a girl who chooses to end a pregnancy has the right to mourn. I thought since I had chosen abortion, I had given up that right. In conclusion, the psychological ramifications of just sex can sometimes be too much for a minor to handle, let alone the horrible decision to end your pregnancy alone, with no support at a time when you need support the most. I believe most teens would be surprised at their parents' reactions once their parents got over the initial shock and disappointment. 1.3 million abortions are performed each year. There are no national statistics on how many people are waiting to adopt, but experts estimate it is somewhere between 1 and 2 million couples. I believe it is necessary for at least one parent or family member to be informed to help untangle a sticky situation for someone not old enough to even get their ears pierced without consent. Thank you.